I'll never forget this experience that I had. In fact, in my lifetime, I don't think I'll forget. There was a day, we now Africans, or we braid our hair. So I braided my hair. When you braid your hair, especially when it's small braids, even big braids sometimes, the ones at the front, especially when the hair at the front and the back, all around the edges are not long, or is not long. When you braid, sometimes they pull off. So I think one pulled off on my way, out of the office. And then I came back the next day. I saw that strand of hair. I mean, not strand, but I saw one piece from my head on my keyboard. I was like, oh my God, what is this? If it's in Nigerian, I'll say, hey, somebody wants to jazz me. Hi guys, welcome to the cruise with Esther. This is me, Esther Egwavoin. So good to see you again. So today I'm going to be talking about giving you an update, or I wouldn't say an update, but to share my experience before I left Nigeria, and when I left Nigeria to go study in France. So I'm going to give you my study experience, the story behind it. This journey actually started in 2014. In fact, before then, I was actually looking at going to study in the UK, US, or Canada. So I applied to all those countries. Canada, why I didn't even really get an admission there was because I came out with a 2.2. And when they do like the conversion of your GPA, it wasn't up to their standards. So, I mean, it was very hard for me because I was actually looking at applying to universities for a master's program. But if it was for postgraduate, of course, postgraduate diploma, of course, you'd get, there are many colleges who offers admission, but I don't know, I didn't just want to do that. So I ended up not going to Canada. I tried the UK, of course, UK. I mean, then it was easy to get admission. So I got admission like in 3 different universities. But then, and one was a business school, the London School of Business and Finance. But the thing was, the tuition too was quite high. So they will tell you, oh, they'll give you scholarship, but you end up seeing maybe £5,000 or 2,500 compared to the whole tuition. And those universities I actually selected were quite high. So my taste was very high then, but yeah. I also applied to the US. It was still, the money was too much too for me. But I was like, okay, I really want to, study outside Nigeria at that time. And then I started looking at other countries. I looked at Europe. I said, okay, let me check Europe and see if there are other places that I can apply to. And then I looked at Switzerland. I looked at Sweden. I looked at Georgia, funny enough. I also looked at France. So during all my search, I looked at Germany too. So during all my search, I realized that, after, in Europe, I don't know, for me personally, in Europe, after visiting the UK, the next stop for me was France. And of course, we all know, or some of us know, that France is a tourist destination. With the Eiffel Tower, very popular in Paris. I was like, okay, why don't I try France instead? So I started, searching for universities. That was when I even got to find out about the Campus France website.org, because I did all my research myself. I mean, like, I would always tell people that I know it might be tiring, it might be frustrating sometimes, but it's better you do these things yourself so you can, even if you want to advise someone, you tell them based on what you've done. So you've had like hands-on experience on all these things. So I did all my application myself, all my research myself. And then I got some universities that I wanted to apply to. So I started to do international management. My bachelor's was in statistics, actually, but I wanted to get like a managerial experience, will I put it that way, to, to combine it with my science background. So I actually looked at universities. I looked at some in Paris. I looked at some in Toulouse, Lyon, and Bordeaux. So those were my top because I was looking at the universities that have lots of, international students. All this information are online, you see them. So I wrote down the list of universities, and then the program was still the same. It's Masters in International Management. So I, applied to all those schools. For the University of Bordeaux, we even had like an interview, but then why I didn't end up choosing that was because the tuition was 4,000 euros at that time. And University of Toulouse, I was like, okay. I mean, the name sounds funny, but I was like, okay, let me try it. And I saw that there were lots of, international students who studied in Toulouse. So I ended up going to University of Toulouse Capitole because that was the main university. And they also had the program in there. And then I looked at the tuition. I was like, what? This is this is very cheap compared to all the other universities that I've been applying to. So I looked at it. I, did more research. I, put in my application. Then I didn't apply directly through Campus France, but I applied directly through the university. So I sent in all my documents. I did my CV. I mean, I had work experience, so that really helped me because since I have a statistics background, how come, I'm going into international management? It doesn't really matter per se, but then you have to show that you have some work experience because it was required by the school if you don't have a related undergraduate degree. So that was what helped me. Then my statement of purpose, I wrote that myself. Because since I've been applying to a lot of universities, I already have some, some standards that I already, set aside just in case. So I'll just tweak it, based on the university that I'm applying to and the country. So that was what I did. Then, I started waiting. And the good part then, I was using, when I was applying to the US, UK, Canada, I was using DHL. When the thing hits me, it was so expensive to send these documents. I started using the Nigerian Postal Service, the local one. I think it's called Nigerian Postal Service, if I'm correct. Sorry, I'm not so sure anymore, but that was what I started using. And luckily, I was so surprised. I said, let me try it. And I realized that after 2 to 3 weeks, one of the universities received the documents I sent. I was like, oh my God, okay. So I started using the Nigerian Postal Service for my shipments of documents to this university. So that saved me a whole lot because it was quite cheap. So that was what I did. Then I sent my documents to the school. After some months, they called me. They told me that, they'll be putting out the list of those that were admitted on the website. So I was waiting on that day. They said they were going to put it in June. I can't remember the exact date now. And I was like, oh, okay. On that day, you'll see me on my phone. I was waiting. As soon as they uploaded it, wow, I just checked. I saw my name. I was so happy. I was so excited that, I couldn't believe it. And then that was when I started preparing, gathering my documents. I told my parents. They were so happy. I started gathering documents to, apply for the visa. So I did that. I was in Lagos then, so I applied at the Lagos French or France embassy. So I did all that. But before I went there, I had to go through Campus France. So you see, that's where, even if you don't apply through them for your programs, for the visa application, you have to go through them. And then I didn't pay a fee. So I don't know if the fees now is something recent, but at that time, I actually didn't pay a fee. So I went to Campus France in Lagos, their office. So I told them, oh, I've gotten admission. They asked, have I actually gotten accommodation? So I started looking for accommodation because that was one required, that's something they required, document that you have to show that you have an accommodation in France. So I started looking I contacted the school. So they gave me a website where I could check. So I checked for accommodation. Luckily for me, I found one. It was a French woman. It's kind of like in a shared apartment. So she was renting like 2 rooms in the apartment to students. So I actually got one of the room, and she didn't even collect any money from me. She was like, I mean, I shouldn't worry. When I get to France, I would pay the rent. I was so excited too. So I was like, okay. I was so surprised she sent me all the documents, because when they tell you something like that, you'll be like, is this place still kept for me? But funny enough, she sent me all the documents that was needed, and then I added it. I took it to the Campus France office, and I did like an interview with the guy there. I can't remember his name anymore, but it was a guy, and he asked me some questions. After that, I passed the interview process, and then he gave me a letter that I added to my documents that I took to the embassy. So I went to the embassy, submitted my documents. I was waiting. Hey, they'll tell you 3 weeks, in 3 weeks time. 3 weeks passed. I was like, oh, hey, what's happening? I didn't get any call. I didn't, I know Nigeria that time, you will try to call the number that is there, but nobody was picking up. So I tried. I waited and waited. Of course, I was praying. I'm a very strong believer. I'm a very strong Christian. So I was always praying. I even fasted. I was like, God, please make this happen for me. So after like 3 weeks, I think getting to the fourth week, then I got a message that the visa is ready. So I went there. I actually went there. I still saw other people too, other students that were going to study in France. I think there were like 6 or 7 of us. Some of them were denied the visa, but mine, I got it. So I was so thankful to God that, oh wow, I got this. This is finally happening. And then I went home to meet my parents, to spend some time with them and then prepare for my trip. So that was what happened. I went home, I was so excited. My mom, my dad, they were excited. And that was when I bought my tickets. And funny enough, I asked because of the rush, and because most schools in France actually resume in September. So I got there on the day that it was September 5th. I will not forget. That was the day the school was supposed to resume. But you know how it is, they won't start teaching on that day. So I got to France that same day. The house I rented, the landlady actually came to pick me up from the airport. So in fact, she was very nice old lady. I was so happy. She took me to the house. I put in all my luggages that I brought, and then I went to the school. So I went to the university, saw the environment, tried to see how I can, commute. Then after that, just walked around, just thanking God. I was so happy. So I met some of my classmates too as well. And almost, I think 80% of my classmates were actually from somewhere from other European countries. Like I mentioned before, I had two from the US, and then I also had some from the UK, just different countries, from Thailand, from China. It was so mixed. My class was so mixed, and I was the only black person. Trust us now, we are everywhere. So I was the only black person in my class. And, that made me feel special because, like we Nigerians, we always change our hair like every 2 weeks, sometimes every month. Anytime I change my hair, they'll be like, oh my God, you look different, you look different. How do you do that? Everybody wants to know how you do it. They'll ask you questions about your country. Some already have some, background information about how Nigeria was, but, I tell them that no, you just, we have nice places in Nigeria. Everybody just wants to know about your country, about you, about, what you do, how you change your hair. That was very common for me because at that time I had my natural hair. So sometimes I, leave it like afro, and they'd be like, oh my God. So it was so funny. But yeah, I enjoyed every bit of it. I was able to move around because in France, if you want to go to Germany, you can use the train. If you want to go to Netherlands, you can use the bus. If you want to even go to Paris, you can use bus. If you want to go to the UK too, funny enough, they have like a bus too from Paris that you can use. Or if you want to fly, you can fly. So I was able to move around other European countries. that is within the Schengen, that is listed among the Schengen countries. So I was able to move around, just have a feel because, you can go by bus, you can go by train. Sometimes I'll even go like overnight, get there in the morning, walk around their cities, walk around their city center, and then go back to Toulouse or to Paris, because I also had a friend who was in Paris too, because she didn't even believe that, there were schools that that teaches or that have programs that are taught in English. So she also applied and she got an admission in Paris. So she was in Paris. So that was even good. I could go to Paris. I really had fun. But, studies in France was actually different from the way we study in Nigeria. It's very, very intense. And because, back in Nigeria, we were not doing, I don't know about now, but then during my time, I graduated in 2009. So before that, we don't really do all this PowerPoint presentation, and I did statistics, so it's more of like calculation. But this is management now. They will give you case studies, you need to write about it. They will even tell you, write like 3-4 pages. Hey, you'll be thinking, what will you write? What will you think of to write, fill all those 4-5 pages? So, but, the first semester was kind of like, but, like that, I got used to it. In fact, I started writing stories a lot, when it comes to like my assignments. And we also have like group sessions. You have your group that you do your homework or your assignments together. Then at the end of the day, you guys will have like a presentation. You present to the class. I was a very shy person. Even the head of our program noticed I was a shy person at the beginning. But, eventually I started opening up. So those are things that you would get to experience, when you study in France. Let me talk about France since I was there. But I'm sure it's the same in the UK, because I have friends too who have had similar experiences. So you have to be exposed, you have to be outspoken, because of course these are going to count towards your grade. So you have to do well in your program. And then, winter comes, my first experience with snow and cold. But in all of it, I was just so happy about the whole thing. I was just enjoying myself, living my life as to the best of my ability. I was traveling. So the thing is, my program, like I said, I always advise, if you want to go study in these countries, make sure you look for a program that offers internships. It's very, very helpful. It will help you. As a student, you can actually work, but for like 20 hours a week. But when you don't know how to speak French, it's kind of like hard. I actually tried looking for a job. I looked for a McDonald's, but I didn't get any. So if you can, then it's good. You have the opportunity to work for a few hours. You can also look for a job in the school. Some schools actually offer some job opportunities as well. Like I said earlier, you have to look for a program that actually offers internship, because it will help you gain work experience, especially if you would like to live in that country after your studies, or even if you like to move. But I feel as a student, it's complete when you have that work experience in the country you are studying in. The first year, you have like a compulsory 3 months internship. So when it was time, I started looking for internship. I was applying to L'Oreal, Airbus, because I was in Toulouse. I was applying to Airbus. In fact, I'm sure I sent up to like 100 applications to Airbus, but I didn't get it. And time was going, because of course there is a deadline to when you must have an internship offer. So the good thing is that the university actually, when they see that you haven't gotten any internship, the head of the MIM, that's Master International Management, will actually help you with some offers, and applications to some companies. And then I think we were like 2 or 3 of us who didn't get on time, because I remember one, she's actually from India. So the head of our program actually gave us that opportunity. I think she later ended up getting in Airbus, and I also got one in the Netherlands. So in fact, you can imagine France and Netherlands, that's 2 different countries. I thought it was a dream because, I mean, as an African, a Nigerian, I don't even have European passports or residence permit. I mean, of course, your student's permit is kind of like a resident permit. But then again, I was like, okay, this is actually a good one. From France to Netherlands, okay, that's a big one. And of course, Netherlands is also among the countries in the Schengen area. So, even though it was in there, but the company actually offered to do the paperwork that would be required for me to work there. Because even as much as Netherlands is in Schengen, you have to get like a work permit because I'm also not a European citizen. So I was so happy, I was so excited. In fact, you can't even imagine my excitement that the company even offered to, file in for me. And as soon as they did that, when everything came out, they let me know, they sent it to me, and then I actually looked for accommodation. The thing is, of course, you have to look for accommodation yourself. The trip, you have to also sponsor those yourself. So what I did, in France, you can use EasyJet to fly easily. That's kind of like the cheapest airline then. But when you are carrying luggages, they are moving to another country. I have to take all my bags with me. I had to use the bus. I was going to use the train, but I can't really remember what happened. But I ended up going by bus. So I used the bus. I went there. Of course, we have to cut expenses. I was a student then. So I used the bus. I went to the Netherlands. I already, everything is online. I searched online for an accommodation. So I already got somewhere to stay. And I went there, put in my bags. The Monday after, I went to the company to be sure that this is really real. And I mean, as God will have it, the accommodation I got was very close to the company. In fact, you can even walk about 20 minutes. I'm a good walker. So when I was in Europe, oh my God, I learned how to walk. I could walk for an hour, in fact, sometimes 2 hours, because I mean, the lifestyle there is so much different. So I could walk a whole lot. So then I walked to the office. I got there, I met my manager at the time. They took me in. The first day, I didn't see any black person. I was like, what is going on? In my class, I'm the only black person. Here again, the same thing. I was like, okay, let's see if I'll see somebody else. Sometimes you just want to see someone that is like same skin color, you feel more comfortable, especially if the person is from your country. Hey, Niger, up Niger, somebody to even speak broken English with. So I was like, okay, I got there. Wow, all through my stay, I didn't see any like black person like me. So I mean, I was already used to it because right from in France to it was the same thing in my class. Even where I was staying, the whole block of apartments, I was kind of like the only black person too. But not like there are lots of black people in France, lots of them. So I tried to settle in the company, and I was so happy because it's kind of like a different environment for me. I was like, God, you can imagine. See, it was France, so I said I want to go to. Now I'm here in Netherlands. I'm even doing my internship. It was so I felt so blessed. I felt so opportune. I didn't want to like misuse it. So I was so thankful, thankful, thankful to God for that. And I was working there. Funny enough, because in Netherlands they use bike a lot. So the HR manager then was like, "Oh, if I need bike, he's gonna get me one." I was like, "I don't even know how to ride a bike. Truly, I don't know how to ride a bike." But the man still got me a bike. I also had other people who offered to teach me how to ride a bike. It was just so fun. I really had so much fun. I felt so fulfilled, that this is really happening, like it's happening. And yeah, I stayed there for like a while. I'll never forget this experience that I had. In fact, in my lifetime, I don't think I'll forget. There was a day, we now Africans, or we braid our hair. So I braided my hair. I know when you braid your hair, especially when it's small braids, even big braids sometimes, the ones at the front, especially when the hair at the front and the back, all around the edges are not long or is not long. When you braid, sometimes they pull off. So I think one pulled off on my way, out of the office. And then I came back the next day. I saw that strand of hair. I mean, not strand, but I saw one piece from my head on my keyboard. I was like, oh my God, what is this? If it's in Nigerian, I'll say, hey, somebody wants to jazz me, but I know it was from my hair. And they will know it's mine because people keep asking me, how do you do it? You change your hair like every 2 weeks or every month because, of course, we have wigs now. when you leave Nigeria, you fact you value wigs very well because, of course, you can't be going to the salon every time to make hair. When they give you bill, you will run away. Sometimes I was just really like a celebrity because every day I receive compliments, especially when I go to the cafeteria to eat. There now is big. It's just white people all around. Everybody's just there, looking at you, smiling, greeting you. It was so awesome. People are so nice. Dutch people are very, very nice. Like, I didn't have any bad experience at all through my stay. So I was in Netherlands for almost a year, and then I ended the internship. But they told me if I want to come back, they always have a space for me. I was like, no problem. That I'm going to do my second year in for my master's program. So if there's still an opportunity for me, I might come back to do my internship because the second year master's program internship is 6 months. So I was like, oh wow, that will be long, so I can come back. So they said no problem, they will have a space for me. And then that was how I left. I went to Nigeria, spent some time with my family, and then went back to France for my M2. So I got to France. Of course, now I'm used to the environment. I'm used to everything. My landlady then actually kept a space for me because I told her I was coming. She was like, ah, okay. I mean, she really likes me a whole lot. So I still went back to the apartment. So she got, because while I was away, of course, she gave it out to some other students. But when she knew I was coming back, she kept the room for me. So I still had a room in her apartment. So it was just easy for me. I was like, oh, I'm used to her, so let me just keep staying there. And while I was in France too, I also had some, in fact, before I left Nigeria, I skipped this at the beginning. The guy that I met at Campus France actually gave me a contact of a guy, a Nigerian guy in Toulouse as well. I think he went to study too, but before me, so that at least I'll have somebody that I can call, and ask questions. So when I got to France, I actually called him. It's so good too to see someone from your home country, like you feel, you feel among at least somebody you can talk to, gist with. So that was how I was able to meet some other gorgeous, awesome ladies as well. And then they introduced me to the church they attend. It's a Nigerian church. So I started going to the church. So there I could, meet other Nigerians. That was the only time I met with like my people. And then it was nice. I really had, they are so nice, nice people. And so that was how, I had a place of worship. So that was where I worship. And then I went back for my M2. I still continued from where I stopped before I left for the Netherlands. So, of course, we started our program. M2 was more intense because, it's the final year of the master's program. It was more coursework, more projects, more presentations. So we were so busy. And of course, after the program, after your studies, as your coursework, you're gonna do the 6 months compulsory internship. So I was like, hey, okay, another. So I still had that option of the Netherlands, but being in Toulouse, I'm like, I have to work in Airbus because their headquarters is in Toulouse. Airbus is a company where they make airplanes. I was like, why can't I get an internship in this place? I know I've applied like, I'm telling you, I applied like up to 100. I sent in 100, almost 100 applications. I was not sleeping. I was always sending applications to this company, but they did not take me. I say no, this time, God, you have done it for people. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. You have to give me this job. You have to give me this job. So that was how I applied. I also knew one Nigerian man too who works in Airbus. So I still told him that I'm applying, no anything. But one thing with abroad, there's no tra-tra. There's no tra like Nigeria. Beg, let me talk to the person. Like if you know someone, you can, have your way. But in the foreign countries, it's hard. So I was like, okay, let me just keep applying. At least now I've stayed in France for at least more than, almost a year. And then I had my internship experience in the Netherlands. So maybe that might help me. And it's still in the same field I was in because I did my first internship as a data analyst. So I started applying to Airbus. I was applying to Airbus. I still applied to the Netherlands. I called the manager then that, okay, see, just in case. So I did that. And as God will have it, I got the internship offer in Airbus as a data analyst. So I was like, okay. So I did that. Business data analyst. So I did that. I went there to Airbus. I was so, so happy. I was like, at least I get to work in this place. I can't be in Toulouse and not at least have the opportunity to work there. So I was able to work, do my internship in Airbus, and that was so, so awesome. I had a good time. I had good teammates. The same thing, I was only the black person in my team, but I had a very good manager, very good teammates. It was so awesome. I ended up, going to their manufacturing, where they manufacture Airbus. I went to their museum. It was so fun. I was so happy. And where I actually worked was in the headquarters. So I was like, "Ooh, wow." Because they also have smaller offices, but I was so happy that I got my internship in the main headquarters. So I said, you see, yeah, God saved the last for the best. I mean, the best for the last. I can't remember how the statement go, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so that was what happened. I was so happy. I did my 6 months there, and I was actually going to get retained, but after my studies, that was when I got married. My husband lived in the US, so I had to, move to the US. So after I left France, I have not gone back there till now, but of course, I'm going to go back very, very soon, to go visit. Of course, when you get married, you focus on raising a family. So that's what I've been doing. So, of course, now we are we are now ready. So yeah, that was my experience. So from this, I'm just trying to share my experience with you. I know it might be some years back, but I know some of these things are still applicable today. Of course, the tuition rate is not the same as it was during my time. Now it's much more expensive. It's about, I think for the undergraduate program, it's about 2,770, whereas for the master's program, it's 3,770. So euros. So that's outside, apart from the administrative fees, because there are some little fees here and there that you'd pay. Because during my time, the first year, I actually paid, I think if I should add up everything, it wasn't more than 1,500 euros to be sincere. It was quite cheap. And then for the second year, plus administrative fees, I didn't even pay up to 500 euros. I'm telling you, that was because the national fees was still applicable to international students. So international students can actually pay the same fees that the nationals are paying. So then it was really, really cheap and affordable. For the quality of education that you are getting, it was well, well worth it. And this is an opportunity that people really don't know about, especially like in my country, Nigeria. When I tell people, I don't even know how to speak French, they'll be like, are you for real? And you studied in France? I said, yes, I did. Because they are not aware that this country actually offers fully taught programs in English that are even affordable. Like in Toulouse, they have Toulouse Business School that is actually offering international management, but the tuition is about 10,000 euros then. I don't even know how much it is now. But then again, going to that university and then because the one I studied in is a public university. When you know where you are coming from and when you are sure of where you are going to, backed by the Almighty God, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you go to a public or a private school. Just go somewhere, start somewhere and God will take you where He has destined you to be, because no matter what, whatever decision you make, as long as you're a Christian, you pray, you are dedicated to the Word of God, He will definitely direct you. So that's why I'm like, whatever happens, if you get it, that means it's God's plan for you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. It's just left for you, because some people, when they get the opportunity, they reach there and they don't even work hard. They just relax and, use that opportunity to live their life as they wish. But no, if you know what you want for yourself, of course, you're going to work hard for it. And like I always say, hard work pays, backed up by God. So whatever you are doing, always put God first, and then you work hard for it. You don't just sit down and relax. I'm not that kind of person. I make sure that I put in my best. I put in all my efforts, and if it doesn't work, then I know, yes, I've tried. I'm not going to have regrets later. If maybe I had done it this way, or I did this, maybe it would have been different. No, except maybe it's not God's plan. I didn't just do it at all, but that's the mentality I've had right from time. So it's like all my applications, all my research, I do them myself. I've never used an agent any day for anything regarding abroad matters. Let me put it that way. So, well, that's that. So I'm going to share with you how to apply for the visa, what the visa process entails. I will share that as well for those who are really interested in studying in France. It's good for you to watch. So thank you. So guys, if you have any questions, even though I've not been there for some time, I still have contacts there. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section below. I will definitely go through them and answer to the best of my knowledge. If I don't even know, I can ask some of my colleagues that are already living there how it is now, and of course give you a feedback. So please make sure that you try this opportunity. For those who are looking to leave their country, make sure that you put France as one of your study destinations. It's a very, very good place to be. There are also very good universities in Paris too. You can try that. You can try Toulouse, you can try Lyon, you can try Bordeaux. All these cities are actually very, very good for international students. And of course, you would not regret it. So thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, share. You don't know who might need to hear this. Of course, a lot of people are looking for ways to, further their education. Please do share this video. Put in your comments, like I said earlier, and subscribe. And subscribe. So please do not forget to subscribe to this channel so that we can all grow together, because once you subscribe, it's giving me more courage to do this and to keep pushing and to keep giving you important, relevant content that will take you to the next level. So please, thank you for watching. Stay charming, stay fabulous, stay healthy, and stay blessed. See you next video. Bye.